Hello, my name is Lily Hensby. I am a comedian, and today we're talking about the 2010 film Macgruber. I'd never seen it. Until last night, because I did a poll. I did a POLL on my channel asking what you guys like to see, and you all said movie reviews, and I was like, great, let's do more movie reviews. I think I feel weird about it as an actor. It's like sort of where I eat. Maybe it's okay, because there's lots of podcasts with actors talking about movies, so maybe it's okay. And it just further proves my love of the industry and the art form. Great. So we're talking about Macgruber. Holy hell. This was so much fun, and I cannot believe I hadn't seen it, and I knew soon as it started that if I had seen it earlier in my life, like maybe early 20s. Well, what was I in 2010? I was in high school still. If I'd seen this in high school, I would have loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was so my vibe. It stars Will Forte, Kristen Wiig, Ryan Phillipe, Maya Rudolph, and Val Kilmer. And it's directed by Yerma Tacone. Is that how you say it? Who we've talked about before because Yerma is in Land of the Lost. He plays Chaka, the monkey. It is a Saturday Night Live movie because there was a sketch of Macgruber who was based on MacGyver, which is like a really old television series, and it's always about like, I don't know, you've probably heard like the term MacGyver like as a descriptor, like, oh, and they MacGyvered their way out, which means they use regular objects to get out of sticky situations because that's what MacGyver used to do.
Right, time to focus. Casey, hammer that copper wire. Caleb, that feather. Okay, great. Now if I can just bypass this detonator, I'll...
And it had a $10 million budget. Remember when movies had like middle ground budgets? That was a good time because good stuff was made. And it grossed $9.3 million worldwide. That's pretty good. Because what's the rule? It's like you want to make back three. You want to make back what you've spent. Actually, that's not good. Oh well. Whatever. It was a good fun time. So, I've got the wiki here, obviously, with all the information, but also last night when I was watching, I took notes. I took physical, written down notes. Can you read that? Don't take my handwriting. Someone's going to take that and dox me. Okay, this is going to be fun because something happened during the film. Well, during my watch experience. So let me crack in. So, I click play. Boom, Maya Rudolph on the screen. And she's wearing a wedding dress and she's singing a song. And she's singing like everything that I thought was going to happen. Everything like recapping either like what's about to happen or what has happened in the past, and we're going to get a different story. But because I'd seen clips of Macgruber, I was like, wait, this is the movie. Yeah, this is definitely the movie. So I keep watching and it starts and it's Christmas time and there's a little girl and it turns out that's the president's daughter and she gets kidnapped. And I was like, whoa, straight in with this action. We cut to a prison and Macgruber's in the prison, and then these like government officials come and they're like, we need you to come in. And I was like, sick. This is like a full-on action movie. And then I clicked to see how long the movie was because I was like, how long is this? And then the screen said episode 1. And I was like, what? Episode? And that's when I realized that I had started watching the series of it. And so I then realized that I had seen Maya Rudolph singing about the movie that I then had to then watch. So I had a couple of spoilers, but that's okay. Just be aware that there's Macgruber 2010 film, and then there's Macgruber 2021 series. And then there's also Macgruber, the sketch from Saturday Night Live. I immediately turned off the show because I was like, I'm not going to binge a whole thing. I want to watch the film. So then we put the film on. See that at the bottom? Was watching the TV show. And I'd written notes and everything because I thought it was real. But what was funny was that the beginning of the movie pretty much starts exactly like the beginning of the TV show, where it's like, you know, government needs Macgruber, we need you to come in. And he's like, I don't do that anymore. Here we go. What have I written here? Dead dudes in desert. Epic start to a movie giving Iron Man. Yeah, so the opening of Macgruber the movie, which is what we're here to talk about. So let's talk about it. Is these like dead guys, these dead army guys in the desert. And it really feels like Iron Man, which I think it's a very good action movie. Like if you can, because it's not a superhero movie, which I love. Like Iron Man is a pure action movie about the military. So that's what Macgruber felt like, which was nice. Nice to see actual good action movies being good at action. So then we meet Val Kilmer. Huge to get Val Kilmer in this as the villain. So Val Kilmer appears, and he plays. I don't know if I can say the character name because it sounds really rude. I'm gonna spell it out. Am I? See you. So it's see you next Tuesday with a H on the end. I'm going to change the N to M right now because YouTube might get mad at me. So Val Kilmer's character name is Dieter von Humpf. Oh, God. Val Kilmer, rest in peace, my brother. He passed away last couple of weeks ago? And I loved Batman Forever as a teen. I really did. Because we know how much I love Jim Carrey. So what up? Then we meet Ryan Phillipe. Phillipe? Phillips. It's not Phillips. Felipe. Ryan Phillipe. Ryan Phillipe? Ryan. Let's just call him Ryan. We meet him and he works in the army. And so he and the colonel, they're driving to Ecuador where Macgruber lives now because he went into isolation after Kampf killed his wife at their wedding, and his wife was Maya Rudolph, so she's a ghost. So we've got that classic action hero, woman in the refrigerator thing, which is so fun. But that's what you're going to get if you're going to make an action movie. You know what I mean? You're making a movie for the boys. They're going to have a dead wife. What up? So Mac now is very zen. He's got very long hair and he is meditating and he doesn't do any crime fighting anymore. He's moved past that because his dead wife and he can't do it. But the colonel and Ryan Phillipe come and say, we need you to come in. And he's like, I don't do that anymore. But they're like, well, the evil man has nuclear missiles now and we need your help. And the evil man is Kampf. And so then we get a flashback to Macgruber's wedding with Maya Rudolph. And her character name is Casey Janine. Well, it's like a dream flashback, but we fully see that at Macgruber and Casey's wedding, the priest or the celebrant opens up a Bible and in the Bible is a bomb that clearly Kampf has set off. There's a bomb in a Bible and it goes off and that's how Casey Janine dies. Then Macgruber wakes up from the dream and he's all sweaty and then he's like... So he decides to go in because he remembers. So then he goes to a graveyard and digs up a coffin, and inside the coffin is his Macgruber garb, the white vest and the blue flannelette and everything. So then he goes to the Pentagon, and we get a funny gag here.
I'm in.
What?
I'm in.
Love that stuff. So then Colonel tells Macgruber all about the evil he is up against and says Ryan Phillipe will be his partner. But Mac hates that. So Mac goes to round up a real team. Classic, heist movie roundup of the team. You son of a... I'm in. We get all that. So we meet all these really buff people and it's a montage. And after every guy he meets, they do the classic, that handshake from Predator with Arnie and Carl Weathers. You son of a... It's that exact thing. It's so good. After that, they're like, great, you've got a whole team. And he's like, no, there's one more I need to get. And so that's when we meet Kristen Wiig. And her name is Vicki St Elmo. And also, her style is so 70s. It's fantastic. She's got the flicky hair and the blue eyeshadow. Kristen Wiig, aka Vicki St Elmo, was Casey Janine's best friend. So that's how she knows Macgruber. And it says here, Vicki can't come with Mac, so he leaves her a note where to find him. And also, Vicky's really into music now. She's like, I don't want to go and help you fight crime because I love playing music and music is my life.
It's 2 kids and me and you. I love you.
So then Mac and his team are ready to go, and they're all chilling in a car, and then Mac leaves the car and goes and talks to the colonel about how, like, he's ready, he's got the team, and he's like, we've got all the weapons, we've got so much C4.
Of homemade C4 explosive that I personally packed in there with my own 2.
And then it cuts to, like, Mac looking at a window. It's like the day of the funeral of all his team. And he's like, I should have been in that van. Which is really funny. It's just funny stuff. So then the colonel is like, right, you're off the case because you're too sad and he's too close. You know, he's too close to the thing and he doesn't have a team, so we can't risk it. So then Mac begs Ryan Phillipe to join the team, saying, and the way he does it, it's, look, I think I'm quite smart and I think I'm quite a funny comedian, but nothing beats, I don't know, this is a huge hot take, but I really do love crude humor and I really do love, like, toilet humor. And I think in my brain, I feel like that very easy type of humor isn't. Because people go crude humor and toilet humor, that's easy. That's easy comedy. Anyone can make those sort of jokes. But for me, I think what I see it as is that, no, you're making that joke in an ironic way. So it's like people think, oh God, I'm really just talking out of my here. General people think crude humor and toilet humor is down here, right? And then, like, intellectual humor's up here. But I think that this is actually above intellectual humor stuff, because when I'm doing that humor, I'm aware that it's down here. And so that awareness, and this is what I think whenever I hear crude humor, is that I'm like, no, these intellectual people are doing this down here because they know it's down here, but it's in a smart, they're doing it do you know what I mean? I don't even know what I mean, so how are you meant to know what I mean? But whenever I do crude humor or toilet humor, or whenever I see it, I am coming from a place of, like, I know that all you'll know that this humor is easy and stupid and lame and pointless and, yeah, easy, but we all know it is, and that's why it's funny. I think I'm doing it with, like, a wink, in a camp way, let's say, that, you know, I know you'll think that poo is easy humor, so that's why I'm going to do it. And we're all smart enough to know that it's really easy, and that's why it's doubly funny right now, because I know it's cheap, but also I'm doing it knowing it's cheap. That's how I see it. So this has so many jokes and so many, like, but I was laughing because in my brain, whenever I see someone do a or a poo joke, I think that they're coming from the same place I am, which is, like, with a wink. Like, we all know this is a joke about a joke. I know what I'm saying. I know the feeling I'm feeling. If you agree, let me know, because I just feel like a crazy person right now. Back to Macgruber. He begs Ryan to join the team by saying, like, I will do anything. I will suck your dick. I will let you me. I will do anything. Please be on the team. It's very funny and very silly. So then the colonel comes back in and he's like, let's do it. Like, Ryan's on my team. I want to do the case. I want to do the Kampf case. So then the colonel's like, look, sure, but 2 people don't make a team. And then we hear, what about 3? And we turn and we see Kristen Wiig. She's just there. And he's like, you made it. And she's like, yeah. So easy, but it's funny. And then Mac is like, but what about your music? And Kristen Wiig, being the best thing in the world, she's like,
It can wait.
so we've got our team. We've got Macgruber, Vicki St Elmo, and Ryan Phillipe, whose name is Piper, but I'm going to keep calling him Ryan. Then we go to Vegas. and it's a really cool song. I really like this song. I wonder if I can play a little bit of it. What is that song? I like that song. And they go to a club. The club is owned by Kumpf. So he goes to the club and he grabs the microphone from the DJ and he's like, everybody shut up. I've got an announcement to make. I am Macgruber and I am looking for Kumpf. We're coming for you. Gets up the stage and he's like, yeah, that's great. I've just sent a message. And then Ryan is like, why did you do that? Kumpf thought you were dead. And that was a huge advantage. And now he knows that you're alive and now they're going to come for us. And he's like, no, it's a good plan. So then we cut to Kumpf and he's painting a portrait and the model he's using is like a quite old woman, and she's fully nude. It's like, what's happening here? Anyway, these goons tell him that Macgruber is alive. And so he's like, excellent, let's go get the bastard. So then, because Macgruber's cover now has been blown, he gets Vicki to dress up as him. So Kristen Wiig has the mullet and the outfit. She goes to a coffee shop because Mac's like, they'll come for me at the coffee shop. So he's on the radio, hiding out in a van. But when she's all dressed up as him, he's like, you look really pretty. But she looks exactly like him. And look, hey, I get it. I don't know what it is. It's not narcissism, right? It can't be, because I have a little bit of that. Whenever I'm like, whoa, that girl's really pretty, everyone's like, she looks exactly like you. I'm like, no, she's just white and blonde. And they're like, well, whatever. While Vicki is in the coffee shop, Mac and Ryan are in this van, and suddenly the van starts getting shot at. And nobody is coming for Vicki. The diversion didn't work at all. They knew Mac was in the van, and so the goons just start shooting at him directly anyway. Vicky's in the coffee shop just hearing all this gunfire and screaming, and so she's just ah, freaking out in the coffee shop. Very funny. Mac and Ryan survive, obviously, and they kill two of the goons. They go to the goon's car and they realize that the goon has heaps and heaps of money in the boot of the car, in the trunk. They're like, what could this be for? And Ryan is like, oh, it's probably to buy the passcodes for the nuclear missile. You need the nuclear codes. And at the same time, Macgruber's like, it's for the passcodes. Yes, I got it. I got there before you.
It's fairly obvious. He was going to use it to buy the passcodes.
The passcodes, yep. Got there at the same time, maybe even slightly before you.
Then they're like, okay, let's go get the passcodes with the money. And Vicki, this time, you can dress up as the goon. So they think he's still alive and do the process that the goon was going to get the passcodes. But as soon as she walks in, then she's dressed as this goon with a fake beard and everything, and she's like, I don't know. And as soon as she walks in, they're like, that's not the goon, and then they start shooting at her they knew exactly. But then also Macgruber dresses Ryan up as him, so now Ryan's in the Macgruber garb as well. And Ryan Phillipe looks really good with that mullet. Oh my goodness. Macgruber himself goes down to distract the other goons by putting... Okay, I've written down, Mac reveals that he doesn't use guns. He uses other ways, and we see him emerge naked with a celery stick up his butt. So that's how he distracts the other goons. Anyway, then there's a shootout and it's all action-packed, very fun. But then we learn that Kumpf is having a party. And we learn it from the colonel. The colonel's like, he's having a party, he still thinks you're dead, which is a huge advantage. So, go to the party, but be in disguise. And Macgruber's like, yeah, he does think I'm dead still. So he goes to the party and he keeps a low profile, but he's wearing a beautiful cream suit and he slicks his mullet down. And the music as he emerges, it's so, I want to say schmexy. It's very schmexy. I have a thing for Will Forte. I really do. Even have you guys seen Tim Robinson's show? I Think You Should Leave. Even Will Forte as that old man on the plane.
When I arrived in London, I was a shell of a man. Broken. You see, I had spent my entire life savings to go to London to see my beloved Buckingham Palace.
Broken. So good. Okay, so I've written, he keeps a low profile, but he looks 80s as F, and the music is dope as SHIT. And then I wrote, I am yacht rock hard. I am yacht rock hard. Hell yeah. So Vicky's there and she looks really pretty as well. She's all 70s and like has a beautiful flower in her hair and it's just so fun. Something's happening between Vicky and Mac. You know, there's flirting and there's vibes and there's longing looks and there's a little bit of jealousy and there's, you know, something's cooking. So Mac confronts Kumpf and do we learn anything really? Not really. It's just them seeing each other again. But we do learn that there is a senator who is working with Kumpf and a goon gives the senator a folder, but we don't know what's in the folder yet. I've written, what's in it? I don't know. Money? Then the gang are having beers and Ryan Phillipe is like, when are you going to make a move on Vicki? And Macgruber's like, no, I can't. I made a promise that after Casey died, I'd never be with another woman. Then we learn all about Kumpf and Mac and Casey's history. So Kumpf, Casey and Mac were mates in college and Casey and Kumpf were engaged, but she was cheating on him with Macgruber, which is not a reason to kill her, Kumpf, ever. So that's interesting. So everybody knew each other. How interesting is that? Look, we've got sunlight coming in. Oh no. Then goons start shooting at Mac and Ryan, and so Macgruber uses Ryan as a human shield, and he gets annoyed, so he leaves. So then Mac drives Vicki home, and Vicki realizes that Macgruber's been shot in the leg. So she's like, come inside, let me fix you up. They're talking very close, and she's like pushing pliers into his leg to try and get out a bullet, and it's gross, but it's also a bit schmexy because they're, you know, flirting, getting closer. And then we cut to the most ridiculous schmeck scene I've seen in a movie in a long time.
Oh my God, I'm gonna freaking explode inside you. I'm gonna spill it. I'm gonna fill you up.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway, it's very, very funny. I wrote, I would die laughing at acting this scene, and I would, but I'd have a great time. So then when they're finished, Vicky's like, that was amazing. And Macgruber's like, I have to go, because he feels terrible because of the promise that he made his dead wife, Casey Janine. So then Mac gets upset and leaves Vicky in a huff. He goes to Casey's grave and she appears to him as a ghost. She gives him her blessing to be with Vicky. But then Mac and Casey ghost kiss. And then we pretty much get the exact scene we just saw with Kristen Wiig. Also, it's like a shot because Maya Rudolph is a ghost, so she's not there. So it's just him alone, just like thrusting the air, making the noises. The next day, the Colonel calls Macgruber and says, hey, this is all wrong. We've been totally barking up the wrong tree. Humph is clean. He has nothing to do with the missiles, with the nuclear stuff. He's not going to blow up anything. We got to figure out who actually is doing it. And then we see who the Colonel got that message from. And it was the senator from the party that we saw get the folder from the goon. So the Colonel says, Mac, you need to step down. But he says, no. So he goes back to Vicky's house and it's all messy. It's been turned over. It's like so clear that now she's been kidnapped by Kumpf. So he goes to find Vicky. But before he does, he goes to get Ryan and he asks him back and he begs and pleads. And then Mac says, I don't use guns. He tells Ryan, he's like, I don't use guns. I just like to rip throats. Oh, and he keeps saying, I've written here, he also keeps saying how he's going to cut off Kumpf's. So he's like, I'm going to cut your dick off and shove it in your mouth. Vicky is tied up onto a chair and Kumpf puts a TV in front of her that is showing State of the Union address, which is communication from the Presidente to Congress and they report on the current condition of the USA. So that's happening, and that is where Humph is going to shoot the missile at all of these government officials. Oh no. So Ryan and Macgruber get to the warehouse where Vicki is being held, and he does so many throat rips. Like, he just rips people's throats out like that. Epic stuff. So Mac does another throat rip, as I've written here, but Ryan says he needs to use a gun. And we realize that Mac just doesn't use them because he's so good. He doesn't use them what did I just say? Whatever. You know what I meant. He doesn't use them because he actually doesn't know how. So he grabs like a gun and just starts like waving it around and shooting it. So Mac also is like he wants to get 3 throat rips because he's trying to get the turkey, which is a bowling term. When you get 3 strikes in a row, you get a turkey. And I only know that because me and my family play Wii Sports a lot. Nintendo Switch Sports, and we play bowling. And my brother got a 300 game once on Nintendo Switch Sports doing bowling. What? Where am I from? So then they reach Vicki, but then all 3 of them get caught. So then Humph confronts Mac and tells him that he's going to frame him for everything. So Humph is like, I didn't do this. You did this. You've written this whole manifesto here. You know, all these crazy drawings that you've done about, taking down the government, da-da-da-da-da. And then Humph grabs some scissors, like beautiful golden sharp scissors. And he goes behind Macgruber and he cuts off Macgruber's mullet. And Macgruber's like, oh. That was his power. That was his superpower. So then Mac loses it. He does 2 more throat rips, and before he gets shot by another goon, Ryan distracts the goon with the celery up the butt trick. What is my life? But Humph activates the missile, and then Mac realizes he can't. He cannot defuse the missile because he opens up the innards of the missile, and there's like cords everywhere. It's nuts. It's like a nerd's computer. So the other day my dad was like talking about nerds, and he said a Poindexter. And I hadn't heard the term Poindexter for so long. It made me laugh so much. And then I told a friend of mine, and she's 25 and my dad is 60 something. And she had never heard the term Poindexter. So I'm like, oh my God, language is dying. If you're going to insult someone by calling them a nerd, think differently. Choose the word Poindexter. Poindexter. So instead of defusing the missile, he decides to take out other important things like the GPS system and the guidance thing and, the actual nuclear thing. So he takes out the parts and then they run because the thing is going to blow up. Thankfully, he's also punched Humph or shot him in the leg. I don't know, but Humph is there underneath the missile and he can't get out. So he blows up with the missile and we get the classic like, yeah, as it's all blowing up. Excited. So Humph is dead. Then we cut to 6 months later. I love that in a movie. Just push it forward. Move it along. Go. We are at a wedding of Vicki and Macgruber, and it looks exactly like his wedding with Casey Janine, but whatever. Now, the celebrant is like, Macgruber, do you take Vicki to be your lawfully wedded wife? And before he can say, I do, Humph returns and shoots a bazooka at Macgruber. But he and Vicki duck, so Mac beats the out of Humph and he goes to cut off Humph's dick to shove it in his mouth. But when he pulls down Humph's pants, there's nothing there because it got blown off by the explosion from the missile. And Mac is like, I really wanted to cut off your put it in your mouth. So instead, Macgruber throws Humph off a cliff and then on his corpse. He does a wee on his corpse. So ridiculous. And then as he finishes weeing, he turns to Vicki and he says, I do. And that's how the movie ends. Oh my God. Wow. It's a very fun movie. And also the way it is shot, like Yerma's directing is fantastic because it really truly feels like a proper action film. Like it's got all the beats. It just feels so professionally done. And I think it's a huge testament to, having studios fund movies in the middle bracket, because either we get really cheap movies or really expensive movies now. And it's like, where's this middle? Go in the middle. Anyway, I had a good time and it was a beautiful 90 minutes long. 90 minutes. Are you kidding? Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you for a solid 90 minutes, a full story, good characters, funny plot, good stuff. Val Kilmer. Huge. If you've seen Macgruber, put it in the comments. Also, I think Will Forte is about to be on Hot Ones. So this is excellent timing if you like to watch Hot Ones. I keep eating spicy food and, preparing myself for when eventually I will be on Hot Ones. We're manifesting it. We're bringing it into the reality. All right, my friends, I will see you in the next one. If you want me to watch any particular movie, if you're like, wow, I really want Hensby I want to hear her take on any movie ever, put it in the comments. Anyway, have a good week. I will see you in the next one. Look at our sun. It's coming in. It's coming in. Okay, goodbye.